Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
Oh, yes, we do, and thank you for joining us tonight on a Monday night in Pittsburgh. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller, and you can call us and join the conversation by calling the Borders and Borders hotline, which is 412-575-2600, or tweet at KDPomp at Chris Mueller, PGH. And we begin with the big news of the day, which was two big parts of the offense for the Baltimore Ravens tested positive, immediately isolated. They shut down their facility. They then reopened. It's going to be virtual. It's going to make it tough for Baltimore after a physical loss in overtime to Tennessee. They come to Pittsburgh much needing a win, and yet they won't have J.K. Dobbins, who's been their best running back. They won't have Mark Ingram. So that means Gus Edwards and Justice Hill better get ready to go. And Chris, let's bring you in and ask you what that means. I think it's a significant advantage for the Steelers in this game. However, Lamar Jackson still is capable of winning games by himself and with his legs and his arm.
Well, I think what's interesting about this is the line hasn't moved too much yet. At least it hadn't when this news came out earlier this afternoon. That is a curious thing to me, but I think this is a pronounced advantage, at least on paper, for the Steelers. Not having Dobbins takes away sort of that speedy, maybe more east-west, unpredictable element for the Ravens' running game. Ingram was at least a guy who could spell Gus Edwards. They're pretty no-frills at this point. Gus Edwards is a straight-ahead, downhill guy. And Lamar Jackson, you said he can still win a game with his legs and everything else, but it just limits their options. That's a desperate team. And Greg Roman, who's not fooling anybody right now with their schemes and with what they're doing, is going to have to bust out some new plays to maybe get the one up on the Steelers. Here's something else that hasn't been talked about. Brandon Williams, him being out is not great for Baltimore's defense. Tyson Alualu played 6 snaps, 6, when these two teams played the first time. I've got to believe that had a hand in a lot of the things that, were kind of ills for the Steelers' defense in that game. Him playing the entire game, presumably, and those absences for Baltimore, I think is going to make it awfully tough for the Ravens to win this football game on a short week.
Yeah, I agree. And you saw Tyson Alualu when his impact yesterday got in there, and he deflected a pass, which resulted in a big interception and turned the game around. It was a 14-point swing, as it turned out. All right, well, let's talk about yesterday's game, Chris, because I thought another good indication of a team that was focused, because that was one of those games that they started slowly, but they've been doing that here and there. But it's how they finished, and they took care of business, and they did not make that a game whatsoever. In the last two games, 36-10, 27-3, pretty resounding wins.
Yeah, beating bad teams by a combined 50 points is kind of the thing that I wanted to see, certainly. That's more like it. And even when, what's good is even when the performances, are not elite. And I thought they were very good by and large against the Bengals, less so just in terms of the eye test against Jacksonville. In fact, I got a lot of crap from Pony and Craig today. They said I was making them look like bad husbands because I went out and put up Christmas lights with my wife in the third quarter. It turns out I missed about the most boring, pathetic quarter of football overall of the entire season. Neither here nor there. Back to the point at hand.
But you scored points with your wife, and that's important to do at Christmas time. I haven't scored any. My wife does everything, and she's better off because I'm a mess when it comes to assembly required. But go ahead.
I'm a mess with that stuff, but I got up on the ladder, too. That was the other thing. I got up on the ladder. I handled my business. I said, honey, listen, new house, driveway, you're not used to it. It's on an angle here. I'm going to take care of this. So I won big points, but I didn't miss much in that third quarter. Here's what I'll say is impressive. They have lost these games in the past, obviously. That's become kind of a running joke among Steelers fans. Even if you really like Mike Tomlin, you generally admit that his teams lose a game like this every year. They have had some uneven efforts, Dallas probably being the worst one, but they continue to win. And in this Jacksonville game, they played a bad first quarter, but then they came alive. And I think that's been the big difference between this and other years, is that in some of these games, they never come alive. This year, they've always found a way to flip that switch at some point and show what they're made of. And I think that reflects well on the quarterback and on the coach, to say nothing of the rest of the guys on the team who obviously have to bring it as well.
When we come back, we'll talk about the running game. It got better yesterday, but still doesn't seem to be a major cog in what they do offensively. We'll also get into Dabo Swinney, who's next up for Pitt, and he's not a very happy man these days. We'll talk about that decision by Florida State and their officials not to play the game on Saturday. And we want your take as well. It's 412-575-2600. Call us. We're live on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're taking those calls next right here on Pittsburgh's CW.